Shafi.
And I'm Jennifer Dubois.
We're your hosts for Inside the Circle, a show produced by students in the Indian Communication Arts Summer Institute in Journalism at the First Nations University of Canada.
Our reporters will take you to this year's spring convocation. We'll show you how one artist's dream became a reality. You'll learn about our new Veterans Memorial Teepee, and you'll meet the First Nations University Powwow Princess.
You'll also meet our journalism teachers, alumni from the INCA journalism program, who are reporting on stories around the world.
Stay tuned,
and we'll bring you
Inside the Circle. Ever wonder what it's like to be in journalism boot camp? Well, the students of INCA can tell you. In our first story, Pauline Van Dresser-Lonechild takes you behind the scenes of a 7-week-long journey into journalism.
The INCA lab is more like a fast-paced newsroom than a classroom. Students are rushing to meet deadlines and put finishing touches on their television stories. The INCA Summer Institute prepares them for jobs in the media. Shannon Avison, the department head, says that INCA is a launch pad into the media.
It's basically an opportunity for students to try out every aspect of journalism. We do journalism practices for the first week, and then we do print, journalism, design, radio, and television.
Desiree Eshapi is one of this year's INCA students. She admits she's a bit of a procrastinator, but here she's had to learn to hit her deadlines.
It's a life-changing experience, and I was told that it really helps you build up your network. You know, it prepares you for the media industry, which is really intense. It's a really, fast-paced environment that you need to be ready for.
Chris Tyrone Ross says the INCA Summer Institute has opened his eyes to opportunities beyond the morning newspaper.
It's a lot more, it's communication, it's public relations, it's just being out there on the field, TV, radio, internet, and so it's kind of a wide variety. So it's not just journalism, it's a lot more than that.
Duncan McHugh has been a television reporter at CBC for 12 years. He also teaches documentary television at the University of British Columbia. He says INCA accomplishes a lot in 7 weeks.
What amazes me about the program is how fast, what a big learning curve the students are on here. I mean, you guys are getting thrown into a real newsroom type setting, and you have to learn television in this instance really fast, really fast. The nuts and bolts of how to shoot, how to edit, how to go out and interview, how to write a script. You're doing it all in about 2 weeks in television, and I find that learning curve is just so huge, and I'm amazed that the students are tackling it, and I'm amazed that the instructors are teaching it.
Students who complete the Summer Institute use their training when they go on to complete an internship at places like CBC, Eagle Feather News, Missinippi Broadcasting Corporation, and CFWE, The Native Perspective. For Inside the Circle, I'm Pauline Van Dresser-Lonechild.
Now we go to a story about students who have already finished their schooling. The First Nations University just held their convocation, and one deserving student was chosen as valedictorian. Chris Tyrone Ross tells us her story.
For these graduates, convocation means the end of one long journey. But especially for 36-year-old Angela Esther Severite, a single mother of 5, getting here had many challenges.
It feels good. Actually, I didn't really start to think about all my studies being completed until this past year. I was always constantly struggling, and when I finally got to the end of this semester, I started to realize that it really happened.
She is graduating with a Bachelor's of Administration and her certificate in Tourism and Gaming. And she was surprised when she was chosen as this year's class valedictorian.
I was very honored. I didn't even expect that. I didn't even think they would ask me. It made my degree all worth it. I never thought that I would have the opportunity to be able to talk about my struggles and to talk to the graduates, so it was nice.
During her valedictorian speech, she talked about the struggles of everyday student life, but couldn't help becoming very emotional.
I knew life would be an uphill battle. It's sad to experience discrimination in this day and age, but with our commitments to education, each student is paving a level road for our next generation.
She says her degree is more than just a piece of paper. It symbolizes a new chapter in her life.
Thank you.
Her family is very proud to finally see her achieve this milestone.
Thank you.
And already, Angela has some plans for her future.
Actually, I got a job with Royal Bank of Canada as an account manager. I have to study. I have to go and get licensed to sell mutual funds. Okay. So I have to go back to school. Yeah, but it's okay. I like studying.
Angela's picture will soon be hanging here alongside some of the 3,000 others that have graduated from the First Nations University over the past 3 decades. For Inside the Circle, I'm Chris Tyrone Ross.
The Department of Indigenous Education has developed a new master's course on effective teaching practices for Aboriginal students. Jarrett Crow has a story of why one student decided to take this particular class.
Charlotte Campbell has been teaching Aboriginal students for 12 years, but now she herself is a student once again.
I wanted to come back and learn more so that I could take the knowledge with me to be a better teacher for my students. I need to learn some more from other First Nations teachers. I had a hunger to come back to be taught, and now I know that that's what I'm going to get from this course.
Charlotte is one of several students taking the Cultural Relevant Pedagogy course. She feels teachers need special skills to teach Aboriginal children, particularly those who come from disadvantaged backgrounds.
In order to teach them and to do a good job, we have to know about them. We have to know where they come from. We have to know about their situations, their culture, the poverty.
She also feels courses like this help prospective teachers understand First Nations culture.
My classmate, she's excited because she wants to learn about it. She wants to know how she can become a better teacher for the First Nations people.
Charlotte expects to finish her master's at the end of the summer so that she can take what she has learned in university back to a classroom filled with children. For Inside the Circle, I'm Jared Crow.
Thanks, Jared. University is stressful for all students, but First Nations students are also dealing with an educational system that's often far removed from their traditional culture. Here at the First Nations University, elders provide essential cultural support for students to succeed. Stuart Manhas has that story for us.
Stacey Sear is a single mother in the Environmental Health Program. In her 4 years at the First Nations University of Canada, it's been the elders who have kept her going through all the stress of university and the loss of both her best friend and her youngest brother.
The elders are always there. You can go to the elders' office, take your tobacco. They're basically there to provide an ear, give you a little bit of wisdom, and to basically facilitate you through the growth and grieving process.
For prospective students, the availability of elders is both reassuring and creates a connection to their traditions and cultures.
I think that having like an elder, to kind of go in and talk to is a good idea, because having an elder to go in and talk to is, make me feel anyway closer to home in a way.
Tom Twist is an academic advisor at the First Nations University of Canada. He has seen the positive effects elders have had on the students.
They feel more comfortable talking to elders because with elders you're treated with respect and dignity, and it's more comfortable for them to talk with someone such as an elder, and they come out of that, feeling better about themselves.
It's a lot of work for just 3 elders, but their role sharing traditional knowledge through ceremonies and one-on-one counseling have helped numerous students on their path through university over the years. For Inside the Circle, I'm Stuart Manhas.
Now don't go anywhere. We still have a ton of stories that will keep you informed on the happenings around campus.
Here's a taste of what's to come.
I'm Chal Burdnook at the Hare Krishna Temple in Regina. Coming up, I'll have a story on why a university program brings students here.
I'm Diane Adams. Some health professionals only see people after they get sick, but the Environmental Health and Science program trains environmental health professionals to prevent sickness in their communities. To find out how, stay tuned.
Welcome back to Inside the Circle. I'm Jennifer, and my co-host for this segment is Stuart Manhas.
Thanks, Jen. The First Nations University kicks off the powwow season every spring. People come from all over Turtle Island to visit, to show off their new regalia and compete for big prizes. Jesse Archibald Barber takes us there.
In a fast-paced modern world, this is one place where people can reconnect with their traditions and re-energize their spirits.
Powwow is a ceremony, our elders have told us, and it's a healing ceremony where we invite people to come and be with us.
There are all kinds of events at the powwow, but some participants say the competitions really push them to excel.
I think the importance of a singing competition is maybe to bring out the better songs out of some of the drum groups, to give the dancers good songs to dance to, and I guess to bring more spirit to the powwow. When a dancer notices a good song, I think it brings more than that positivity out of them. It brings out the joy of sharing their dance.
One particular competition that many keep their eye on is the Powwow Princess, who acts as an ambassador for the powwow. This year's princess works and studies at First Nations University.
To me, like being princess, it's an honor. It really is an honor to be chosen. You go out and you meet lots of people, and it's a family event, you know, and other cultures are invited to come and see what we're doing.
This sharing between cultures is what connects the powwow to a wider view of nature and our place in it. The elders believe that all creation has a spirit and that the earth is a living, nurturing entity. And the powwow is a way for people to bring that energy together.
People walk into the Brand Center and they can feel the energy. They can feel the drum, and they can feel the singers, and they can feel the presence of the eagle feathers and the dancers, and people feel good about it. And that's our elders tell us that's what it's about.
For Inside the Circle, this is Jesse Archibald Barber.
Now we take you from a powwow to a Hindu temple. A new program at the First Nations University is giving students a chance to experience other cultures firsthand. Terrell Brudenik has that story.
The first time she set eyes on the Hare Krishna temple in Regina, Melody Papakwash was apprehensive. But thanks to the Intercultural Leadership Program, she got a new outlook on an ancient faith.
From what I've learned and what it has done for me, it has opened my mind and my heart to different people.
Melody visited the temple as part of an assignment, but she learned much more than she ever thought. Jay Ram is the priest at the temple. He says there are parts of this Hindu-based religion that everyone can relate to. This lets students of any culture feel comfortable when attending a service.
When students come here, if they don't know anything at all about Hinduism, Sanatana Dharma, then they will have a knowledge of what we do, what this religion really is.
Jay says programs like this help demystify any fears or worries that students may have about his religion.
You know what the cultures are like, what religions are like, what people are like, what they eat, what they wear, how they behave, how they act. So that's a benefit to students, is to give them that knowledge, that openness of Vedic culture.
Melody says the visit broadened her horizons, and she recommends this course to others.
I would encourage others, and it is a very good class to be in and just to learn, because we're not the only people in this world.
The Intercultural Leadership Program helps students develop into community leaders who can work in a diverse society. This year, 8 students will graduate from the program, and coordinators hope those numbers will continue to grow. For Inside the Circle, I'm Terrell Brudenik.
Computer technology and the internet have made it possible for the Cree language to be learned worldwide. Lila George tells us more.
Technology is used to teach university courses every day, but Doreen Oakes knew she needed to consult with her elders before using computers to teach the Cree language.
When I first discovered the online education, my uncle was still alive back then. I had approached him to see if it would be okay if I could promote my language using technology.
Now she is bridging the divide between the keepers of the language who may not understand computers and young people who know computers but not the language.
Well, as Aboriginal people, if you want to know your in-depth background of understanding culture and knowledge of the old traditional teachings, you have to have the language.
Doreen now has a website where students can access lesson plans, audio files, or connect with Doreen.
But I'm promoting the language and always trying to give them the basic understanding of how to learn the language, because you have to be able to introduce the basics of the language and then hope that your students will know how to use other words to expand their knowledge in the language.
Still, Doreen is surprised there is interest around the world in Canada's First Nation languages.
Because I've had students from, like I said, all over Canada, so, and you're able to talk to these students. You never get to meet them, but they tell you that they're enjoying the class and they had fun learning the language. So, and that's one of the things that I enjoy, delivering these classes, to be able to accommodate those students.
Indigenous languages can be shared worldwide using internet technology. But what is most important for Doreen in teaching Cree online is that it honors her elders and keeps the language alive for her children and grandchildren. For Inside the Circle, I'm Lila George.
Troubles with water, waste, or housing are well known to cause illness in Aboriginal communities. But, as Diane Adams tells us, First Nations University is offering a program that trains inspectors who spot the risks so people don't get sick.
As a graduate of the First Nations University's Environmental Health and Science program, Vaughn Williams knows that health is about much more than just doctors and hospitals.
I think with most health professions, they get involved once an illness is brought on to someone, or once somebody becomes ill. Whereas what we do is we prevent the illness from ever occurring.
The First Nations University is the only place in the prairies to be certified in environmental health. Carmen Bouchot graduated in 2005. Now she's a health inspector and a professor at the university.
You're always doing something new. It ranges from sewage to plumbing, housing, restaurants, swimming pools. So you're always meeting new people. You're always doing something different. It's always new and exciting.
While sewage inspections might not be everyone's cup of tea, Vaughn says that the joys of his job come from the thank yous he receives when he uncovers problems like mold or contaminated water.
Just the joy on their face. Their kids are able to drink the water, shower and bathe without getting dermatitis or becoming sick from the water.
Unfortunately, Carmen and Vaughn are two of just a handful of First Nations graduates of the program. The First Nations University hopes that success stories like theirs will inspire other Aboriginal students to enroll. The program accepts applications until July 1st. For Inside the Circle, I'm Diane Adams.
Stay tuned.
These are some of the stories that are still coming up.
I'm Nicole Bear at the Veterans Memorial Teepee at the First Nations University of Canada. Stay tuned to find out more.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Dubois. Stay tuned to find out what's new at the School of Business. Coming up next.
Welcome back.
Coming up, we have a story about a university class only taught here, and why a Veterans Memorial Teepee was built. But for our next story, here's Des.
Thanks, Stuart. The School of Business is developing a new program that is unique to Saskatchewan. It is designed to teach leaders how to govern in a way that reflects First Nations traditions and contemporary political realities. Jennifer Dubois has the story.
Richard Missons is a professor in the School of Business. He is excited about the new governance program because he knows it will strengthen First Nations leadership by grounding them in traditional practices and laws.
Well, part of this program really is helping students to remember our history, where we came from, but to create that new political warrior that we want out there.
Richard has been working with elders, community members, chief and counselors to develop the curriculum. The 5 courses in the governance program will cover law, treaty relationships, and self-government. That will help students when they return to be leaders in their communities.
These students are going to go out there and continue the fight that our leaders and our chiefs and our elders had since the signing of those treaties, to create that new generation of warriors going to fight for us.
Sylvia McAdam is a law student who learned the traditional ways of Aboriginal governance from her parents and grandparents. She is working with Missons to bring the traditional teachings about governance and law from the elders to the classroom.
Our leaders a long time ago at the time of treaty signing, and a lot of the elders know this, they had a very strict system of leadership. It was filled with honor and truth and dignity and respect and a servitude for their people. The story behind this is Wisakitsak was told by the Creator to go to an area called Ugumawati. Ugumawati is in the Cypress Hills area. And when he got there, he was told to climb those hills. And at the top of those hills, he sang 4 songs. And one of those songs is a woman's song. And when he was done singing those songs, the Creator gave him the laws to take to the people to follow for all time.
Richard looks towards the future of strong Aboriginal leaders.
The thing we've always learned is that if we don't fight for it, nobody's going to give it for us. Nobody's going to do it for us. We have to do it for ourselves. And now, as the elders are saying, we have a chance to bring the best of both worlds together.
The first 2 classes of the governance program will be offered this fall. From Inside the Circle, I'm Jennifer Dubois.
Great story, Jen. The Indigenous Studies Department is training students to help communities. With over 500 land claims potentially going before the Specific Claims Resolution Tribunal, Bernadette Conrad tells us why quality research is key.
Harold Lara knows a lot about buffalo. He's been a rancher all his life. But when the Cowses Band asked him to dig into the 100-year-old land surrender, he knew nothing about government archives.
There's just 3, so I'll just give them 3. When I'd find a letter talking about Cowses and what the Indians were doing, it didn't have nothing to do with the claim, but that's all that kind of information that I was bringing home. Like more than what I was supposed to be doing. But I didn't know how to do that before.
Lara learned by trial and error, but at First Nations University, Dr. Carl Beal teaches classes on how to investigate claims. He also hires students as research assistants so they get a chance to hone their skills.
Students get an opportunity to dig deeply into the archival records, the Record Group 10, the Indian Affairs records that are maintained at the National Archives, and other historical records so that they get some hands-on experience with it.
Thomas Rusin, who searched out old Indian Affairs letters for Dr. Beal, says it was exciting to work on an actual claim.
So it was a really good experience, and it gave me the confidence definitely afterwards to know that the stuff that I was learning in class had some use beyond just getting really good at it in the classroom.
Students with Rusin's skills will become more and more important to communities pursuing their claims. As the government has moved from negotiation to litigation, bands like Cowses will have one chance only to present their evidence to the new tribunal. For Inside the Circle, I'm Bernadette Conrad.
The treaty right to post-secondary education funding has been challenged many times over the years. Students are worried it is under attack again. Laura Starblanket tells us the story.
Thomas Benjo is funded by his band to attend university. He is a business student and serves as a representative on the Student Association. He worries that the Conservative government has an agenda to make changes to the way he and other treaty students are funded.
I've been funded through Olive University, and through my band it's been a really good experience because as First Nations people we're not, some of us are only in our first generation or second generation of students to actually go to university, so our families, we don't get a lot of support.
The federal government has proposed changes to the way students get funded. They wanted to shift responsibility for the program from the Indian Affairs to Canada Student Loans.
People have been talking about it going to Canada Student Loans, which is something that we fear might go to, and we don't want this to turn into a loan program because we strongly believe that it is a treaty right.
Right now, it's not clear whether the funding would become a loan or remain a grant, but the concern is treaty promises about education will be broken.
Canada has that responsibility under the treaties to provide that level of education at the post-secondary level. So to simply start cutting back in that area doesn't make a lot of sense, even from a non-treaty perspective.
Thomas is concerned that fewer Aboriginal students will go on to university if funding isn't available.
I always think about like the younger ones that are going to be coming to university. I'm more inclined to help them, more to help the youth get into university, and I want them to take every opportunity to get here.
In order to help future students, Thomas and the Student Association are opposed to changes that may be made to the post-secondary funding. From Inside the Circle, I'm Laura Starblanket.
The First Nations University built a memorial teepee honoring veterans as a legacy to future generations. Nicole Bear explains.
It's a beautiful monument for some very important people. Reba Owatch is a communications student who produced a series of interviews with veterans for the First Nations University's Memorial Teepee project.
I was very passionate about the issue and I wanted to get involved so I could make a difference, I guess, and to try to work on preserving the stories.
There are approximately 350 surviving First Nations veterans in Saskatchewan from many different wars.
They never were conscripted, they all volunteered.
Reba interviewed 12 First Nations veterans and produced a 3-DVD package that was presented to the veterans.
This is what I'm going to be telling my grandchildren. Hey, go to Regina and see, and go and see our mushroom there. He's in that teepee, you know.
It'll be a real learning experience for them to see the number of Indian people that had participated in the 3 wars, the First World War, the Second World War, and the Korean War.
I think that too many times people tend to forget that the veterans, the entire populace of veterans, brought to this country the freedom.
Someday, young people will be coming here and they'll see the TP and they'll punch in their grandfather or their dad's name, and everything will be on there about the life of their mushroom when he was in the armed forces, which country he was fighting, how many medals he had received.
Families and visitors will be able to find that information at kiosks where they can research veterans.
Each one of their families is research. You can go online and find it. You can look up the various wars that they served in or peacekeeping that they participated in.
The university is putting the kiosks on hold for financial reasons, but Reba is hopeful that sometime in the future, people can come here and learn about veterans in the space that was created for them. For Inside the Circle, I'm Nicole Bear.
Don't go anywhere.
We still have more great stories to come on Inside the Circle.
I'm Shannon Poundmaker. Of all universities across Canada, one professor has designed a one-of-a-kind class. Stay tuned for more.
I'm Candy Fox, here at the Art Gallery. Coming up, we'll talk to one student who's doing more than just hanging out. He's hanging art.
Welcome back to Inside the Circle.
We're keeping you up to date with what's going on at the First Nations University of Canada.
Lionel Piachu is an assistant professor of fine arts here at the First Nations University. He is going to Santa Fe to sculpt a 13-foot-high bronze statue. Dina Francis has more.
Hi, I'm standing in Professor Lionel Piachu's studio right now. Lionel's going on a journey this summer. He's going to Santa Fe, New Mexico to complete a major project for the Painted Hat Casino. When the Saskatchewan Indian Gaming Authority put out a call for artists to submit ideas for a statue, Lionel Piachu took a chance to create something he always dreamed of, a bronze statue. It turned out to be the successful bid.
I believe the bronze will be one of the largest sculptures in Saskatchewan.
Here's what it will look like. A statue of 2 warriors on horseback, but this is only a model. The real thing is going to be big, really big.
I inquired about doing it in Saskatchewan locally, but they did not have any facilities to accommodate doing a bronze 13 feet high and 16 feet wide.
So this spring, Lionel headed for New Mexico, to the only place he could find to create such a big work, at the Shannonee Foundry. He took his clay molding and turned it into a casting and watched his dream come to life.
It's like leaving a mark in life, and especially bronze. It'll be there for the next, until time immemorial. And my grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren will see this and say, my grandfather did this, and that's probably what I've always wanted to do, to leave some kind of legacy.
The whole process takes 4 weeks. Lionel is returning to New Mexico to finish the job this summer. He hopes to unveil his masterpiece at the end of September. It will stand at the entryway of the casino. For Inside the Circle, I'm Dina Francis.
Thanks, Dina. The Art Gallery at the First Nations University allows students to showcase their art. But students such as Adam Martin say they receive much more than that. Candy Fox has this story for us.
Adam Martin wants to get it just right. He's a third-year Indian Fine Arts student at the First Nations University. He's also one of the first students to be curator of the Students' Art Gallery.
Being a student and then also being employed through the department, I'm actually the one who's physically hanging the stuff, problem solving, doing the actual problem solving, you see. And every student has that sort of opportunity.
In addition to getting hands-on experience as a curator, Adam's art is also being showcased in this month's display. Indian Fine Arts professor Judy Anderson says the gallery offers students valuable exposure.
After they take their 4 months of doing art, it gives them a place to showcase it and show people what they've been working on.
Student art is shown side by side with professional works year-round.
The one really wonderful thing about the gallery is that we can bring in professional artists, our emerging mid-career, professional, and then we also have our students showing here. It's a really great place for them.
But it gets people talking about the work, talking about the ideas of what Indian art is, especially in contemporary times. It's more than just feathers and leather.
But Adam wants people to know the gallery isn't only for Aboriginal artists.
It's an art gallery. It's a place to express yourself. So as long as you're a student, it doesn't matter what color, what your beliefs are. You still have a space here to showcase.
Students like Adam leave here prepared to exhibit their talents outside of the university. For Inside the Circle, I'm Candy Fox.
From art, we're shifting to the world of books and a literature course about residential schools. Shannon Poundmaker has the story for us.
Professor Joanna Piscanu knows the impact that the residential school system has had on people's lives. Her deceased husband was stabbed to death in a bar, his brother froze to death on a riverbank, another brother was crushed to death after passing out in a dumpster. Their stories are known only to family members, but Piscanu found that Aboriginal authors were sharing their stories in books, plays, poetry, and film.
There was a floodgate of stories coming forward about residential school, and I was finding them in the literature, and I thought that it was important as a memorial to the people who died without being able to tell, to teach their stories.
Piscanu now teaches a residential school literature class to honor the memory of those who cannot tell their stories.
People aren't just writing themselves as victims. The act of writing and taking control and owning your story and sharing that story and imagining other stories gives you agency, gives you power. And I think that's really important.
Peter Brass graduated from the First Nations University. His father was a residential school survivor. Brass took the course to learn more about the residential school experience.
What I came out of the class with was an understanding that it's important for Aboriginal writers to start writing about residential school experiences as a way of healing, as a cathartic, way of getting their pain out. For those ones that found empowerment in their healing process and that spoke about it, that directly affects the present generation by empowering them with that. Like, there's no secrets. We're not victims, we're victimized.
The elected government of Canada formulated discriminative policies to justify removing land from the Indigenous population.
This is not what we think of when we think of Canada the Good. You know, Canada the Boy Scout of the international community, Canada the Peacekeepers. Canada's a fantasy, and it's a fantasy that was created by the settler culture to preserve their self-esteem, so they can feel proud of what they've done in creating this wonderful country.
Apologies and compensations aside, residential school stories still need to be told. For 5 years, Episkanu has been teaching a class about truth and reconciliation. Her new book, Taking Back Our Spirits, Indigenous Literature, Public Policy and Healing, contextualizes the history of Canadian policy for future students, teachers, and Canadians. For Inside the Circle, I'm Shannon Poundmaker.
The INCA program at the First Nations University is giving First Nations people a chance to be a part of the mainstream media. Desiree Shappy has a story about some notable alumni.
INCA students study every journalism medium extensively and practically. Carrie Benjo had her sights set on law school, but then she found herself in the INCA program where she discovered a hidden talent in print journalism. She went on to land a job at one of the top newspapers in Saskatchewan. For some, INCA is their first experience with the media, but Michelle Higley knew all along she was going to be in the industry. By setting her up with an internship, INCA became a stepping stone for her admission to the journalism school. And now, she is a well-recognized radio host for CBC.
INCA is a really unique program that offers all of the basics of journalism, but some added benefits like the cultural components.
The program also gives students a chance to learn technical skills, and it's where Richard Ajikite got his start behind the camera. Now, he's a CBC cameraman, traveling around the world, shooting things like the Olympics in Beijing and the FIFA World Cup Soccer in South Africa. He's bringing his expertise back to the Institute by teaching its students.
INCA is helping reflect the diversity of our country by giving young Aboriginal students the opportunity to participate in the media.
These journalists have inspired me as an INCA student and as a First Nations person. They took a chance and have proved themselves in an industry that historically has not had many First Nations people in it. But that's changing.
And that's our show. Hope you enjoyed it.
Inside the Circle was a production by the students of the Indian Communication Arts Summer Institute.
Thanks for watching.